GCSE English Literature, Much Ado About Nothing, Act 1, Scene 1, Summary, Themes and Quotes. So here are the timestamps of the video contents. So you'll see by the different coloured hands what part of the video we're on. So the first part will be looking at the introduction of the themes, then we'll be looking at the key events and which themes they are, and then we'll be looking at quotes of the scenes, which I suggest you take down. So first, let's look at the introduction of the themes within this scene. So throughout these video series, I'm going to use symbols to talk about the themes, but I'll remind you of them at every video. So in this video, in Act 1, Scene 1, the following themes are present. There is family, marriage, warfare, and deception. So they all have different symbols which will hopefully help you remember what themes they're talking about. Now let's look at the events and themes. So I've ordered this in the most important key events in Act 1, Scene 1. So it begins by a messenger arriving at the house of Leonato. Leonato is the governor of Messina, so imagine a very high status person. Now, the messenger arrives to inform him that the Spanish prince Don Pedro, the Florentine Claudio, and Benedict have returned victorious from a recent battle. This already introduces the theme of warfare, as you can see. Beatrice, who is Leonato's niece, asks the messenger about Benedict, making sarcastic remarks about him. She mocks how he's fickle and compares him to a disease. Don Pedro, Don John, Claudio and Benedict all arrive together, and Beatrice and Benedict begin trading insults and quite literally bickering with sarcastic remarks. Leonato invites the new arrivals to stay in his house. Privately, Claudio tells Benedict that he has fallen in love with Hero, Leonato's daughter. Benedict finds her unattractive and mocks Claudio for being in love. Don Pedro enters with Claudio and Benedict. Don Pedro suggests that despite his resistance, one day Benedict too will fall in love. This is obviously foreshadowing, and it's Shakespeare's use of dramatic irony that this is done. Now that Benedict is gone, Claudio asks Don Pedro for some advice about how to get with Hero. Don Pedro then proposes a grand plan to disguise himself as Claudio in the masked ball and then woo Hero, and then Hero will fall in love with this supposed Claudio in a mask, which will actually be Don Pedro. So let's look at the key quotes of the scenes. The first quote I found very useful is, "A victory is twice itself won when the achiever brings home full numbers." This is said by Leonato, and it primarily introduces the theme of warfare. And warfare is important in this sort of romantic comedy because it's used as a metaphorical language of courtship, and how what comes before love is actually different relationships. So Hero and Claudio is more sincere and loving, whereas Beatrice and Benedict is often playful, sarcastic, almost trading insults at every given moment. Victory. So the word victory has connotations of battlefield, and it mimics the victories of love. Also, the word twice reinforces this idea of couplings and pairings, which we'll soon see develop. Now, this military victory that precedes the play is technically the only real event in the entire plot, since all else are just a result of mistaken identities and nothingness. So technically this is the only serious event that takes place. There is a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedict and her. So again, this is spoken by Leonato, and he's basically describing the relationship between Benedict and Beatrice, saying it's something that's merry and playful and not intentionally hurtful, but also a war, very sparring and conflicting. So Merry War is an explicit example of juxtaposition and represents how there's initial polarity and contrast between both of them, but then later there is hope for unity. Again, the interlinking of warfare with love and romance here foreshadows the relationship that will soon come to blossom. The final quote, "In time the savage bull doth bear the yoke." So here we hear from Don Pedro, and here he's playing on Benedict's assertion that married men are like beasts of burden, and here Don Pedro suggests that they can be tamed through love, and love is a good thing, whereas Benedict is suggesting it's a bad thing. The proverb is also a line of iambic pentameter, which contrasts with the rest of the play, which is all written in normal language called prose. Now, this small detail helps underscore Don Pedro's prediction and dramatic irony, which will eventually come through. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and comment down below any more video requests. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.